confronting him. Emily nodded, grateful for Sophie's calm perspective. Her advice anchored Emily's storm of emotions, giving her the clarity she needed to organize her plan. Hours passed as Emily mapped out every step: when to confront Ethan, how to expose the lies, and how to protect herself from further deception. She imagined different scenarios, anticipating Ethan's reactions and preparing her responses. Every option carried weight, every decision could tip the balance. Finally, after reviewing everything, she took a deep breath, her determination solidifying. The plan was risky, tense, but necessary. She looked at the evidence one last time, her resolve sharpening. The moment had to be right. Emily had rehearsed every detail of her plan countless times, and now the moment had arrived. Her heart pounded in her chest as she stepped into the room, evidence in hand, ready to confront Ethan Black. The tension in the air was almost tangible. Every sound seemed louder, every glance sharper. She knew that everything depended on timing and delivery. One misstep could ruin the impact, but if executed perfectly, the truth would finally be revealed. Ethan looked up from his phone, his usual confident smile faltering as he noticed the intensity in Emily's eyes. "Emily, what's going on?" he asked, his voice betraying a flicker of uncertainty. She took a steadying breath, her hands gripping the papers that exposed every lie he had spun. Lucas Reed stood quietly in the background watching, sensing that something was about to unfold. "I think it's time you explain this," Emily said, her voice steady but filled with controlled anger. She laid out the messages, the hidden details, every manipulation he had orchestrated. Ethan's eyes widened as he realized the full scope of what had been uncovered. The lies he had thought were safe were now exposed, laid bare for everyone present to see. Shock and disbelief rippled through the room. Ethan tried to recover, to twist the story, but Emily's preparation left no room for excuses. Each revelation landed with weight, and slowly, the truth dismantled the image he had carefully built. Lucas Reed's silent presence only amplified the tension, a reminder of the web of deceit that had supported Ethan's lies. Emily felt a mix of relief and adrenaline as the final piece of evidence sealed the confrontation. The emotional climax hit hard. Everyone in the room was left speechless. Ethan's smirk was gone, replaced by the stark realization that his manipulations were ruined. The power he once held over the situation had completely evaporated, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. For Emily, the moment was electrifying. The tension, the anger, and the fear that had haunted her were replaced by a sharp clarity. She had acted, she had confronted, and she had ensured that justice, in its own quiet and dramatic way, had been served. The room fell into a heavy silence as Emily looked at Ethan, the weight of truth hanging between them. Every lie he had told, every secret he had buried now lay open, and Emily knew the next steps would shape the future she was determined to claim. The room was heavy with silence after Ethan Black's lies were exposed. The weight of the confrontation still lingered, but the tension that had gripped Emily for days began to slowly ease. Ethan stood frozen, his confident facade completely shattered, realizing that the truth could no longer be hidden. Every relationship he had manipulated seemed to shift in that instant, leaving a ripple of consequences he hadn't anticipated. Emily felt a strange mix of relief and exhaustion. The anger that had consumed her was still present, but it was tempered by a growing sense of clarity. She reflected on everything she had endured, the lies, the betrayal, the manipulation, and recognized how much strength it had taken to reach this point. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to breathe and take in the reality that she had reclaimed a piece of her life. Sophie Carter approached, placing a comforting hand on Emily's shoulder. "You did what you had to do," she said softly. "It wasn't easy, but you faced it all head on. That shows more courage than most people ever have." Emily nodded, grateful for Sophie's unwavering support, realizing that having someone who truly understood her perspective had made a difference in navigating the storm. Ethan remained quiet, trying to collect himself, but the damage was done. His lies had been publicly dismantled, and the trust he had relied on was irrevocably broken. Emily watched him, feeling no satisfaction in vengeance itself, only in the clarity and empowerment that came from confronting the truth. As the initial shock faded, Emily felt a subtle calm replace the whirlwind of emotions. She knew that life would move forward differently now. The lessons were clear: and the future was hers to shape. With Sophie by her side, she took a deep breath, ready to embrace what came next, having emerged stronger and more certain of her own worth. Facing the truth was harder than anything Emily had imagined, but it taught her a lesson she would never forget. Lies and betrayal could never define her life. Standing up for herself gave her strength, clarity, and peace. She realized that courage isn't just about revenge, it's about reclaiming your own power and refusing to be controlled by deception.